Okay, due to certain technical errors, guys, the things are not getting recorded, but fine. I will try. अगर रिकॉर्ड होता है तो ठीक है, वरना दिस क्लास में जो भी पढ़ाया जाता है उसको आप लिखते रहिएगा. ओके, चलो बच्चों, sit down और बात करते हैं. The Negotiable Instruments Act 1881, and my first question is, what is negotiable instrument? What is? All right. If I ask you the question that explain this word, negotiable instrument, as per the Negotiable Instrument Act 1881, your first answer should be, this word negotiable instrument has not been defined. Defined in the Act. Has not been defined in the Act. But it just provides that what will be discussed in this Negotiable Instruments Act 1881. So first thing what we need to write is like, it is not defined in the Act. However, when you just study the preamble of the Act, now this is very interesting. What do you mean by the term called the preamble?
The first part of the Indian Constitution.
Very good. But what is preamble in the Constitution? Like,
it's like a problem that is being solved by the Constitution. Like it gives an idea why the Constitution came.
but what we are learning now?
Negotiable.
So my question was, what is preamble of negotiable instruments? That's a first page. ठीक है. But actually this is the CA into question. The General Clauses Act 1897 for 2 marks. Define the word preamble. Look, preamble is a paragraph in the law, in the Act, which defines the scope of that Act. Please try to understand what do you mean by the term scope. Scope means this Act is designed to cover what? Scope means what? What will be covered up? What will be covered up? For example, if I speak about the Hindu Marriage Act 1955, when you study the preamble of the Hindu Marriage Act 1955, do you know what's written there? It's written that this act covers the marriages between Hindus. Please try to understand, this marriage includes the provisions related to marriage between Hindus. It means, guys, if let's say one Christian and one Hindu who wants to get married, Hindu Marriage Act 1955 does not apply. If Muslims want to get married, the Hindu Marriage Act doesn't apply. If one Hindu, any interreligion, this doesn't apply. For that you may have your postal laws, or you can go for the registration of the marriage act. You know, some people go to sub-registrar. So let me tell you guys, by performing all the rituals, if you are getting married, the certificate what's given, that is according to the Hindu Marriage Act. But the two people bhag ke shadi karte hain. One is, let's say, Muslim and one is Hindu. They are not getting registered under the Hindu Marriage Act. For them, they are given the other certificate by the sub-registrar of the marriage. Only intention here is, what do you mean by preamble? So preamble provides what will be included, and these provisions would be considered for what? So Hindu Marriage Act says that this would be only for what? Marriages between Hindus, guys. Same way when I speak about the preamble of the Negotiable Instruments Act 1881, it provides that this Negotiable Instrument Act 1881 has been designed for what kinds of negotiable instruments. And it just discusses 3. You know very well. First is promissory note. Second one is bill of exchange. And third one is the check. Guys, what do you mean by this and what is the interpretation of this 3? It simply tries to say that if you want to discuss the matters other than these 3, the Negotiable Instruments Act provisions don't apply. So what does it mean? In the market, Indian market, guys, it is possible that you may have other negotiable instruments other than this. You may have negotiable instruments other than this. For example, bearer debenture. Bearer debenture. Debenture, all of you have heard? Okay, on the basis of registration, there are 2 types of debentures. I think you know about this. First one is bearer, other one is the registered. Bearer means I can transfer my debenture just by delivery. You take it, you become owner. Guys, bearer debenture is one type of negotiable instrument. Negotiable instrument in one line, if you want to understand, is such a document which can be transferred by one hand to another just by delivery or endorsement. It can be endorsed by delivery. Every document of title, whether I talk about railway receipt, warehouse certificate, transport receipt, delivery challan, everything, every kind of document of title is a negotiable instrument. You tell me today I have a railway receipt, but today now I want you to claim the goods. Can I just simply hand it over to you to claim the goods? Document of title we studied in SOGA, Sales of Goods Act. Come on. अरे भाई रेलवे रिसिप्ट अगर आप आज मैंने आपको दे दी अब आप क्लेम कर सकते हो सो रेलवे रिसिप्ट इज नथिंग बट द नेगोशिएबल इंस्ट्रूमेंट बट इफ आई आस्क यू द क्वेश्चन whether railway receipt is getting covered up under the Negotiable Instruments Act, what should be answer? No. Why? Preamble clearly specifies it is just designed for this thing. So if you have any concern about the railway receipt like negotiable instruments, please go for SOGA, please go for Indian Contract Act. Am I clear? So my dear students, two principles we just laid down in this discussion. It is possible to have more than these three as negotiable instruments. Point number one. And the principle number two. This act is specifically designed for these three only. So other negotiable instruments don't refer this at all. Go to some other place. Go to some other things. Am I clear? Fine. So now I have the three things in my hand. So guys, you have to learn about the promissory note, you have to learn about the bill of exchange, and you have to learn about check. So let's try to get the stories about, you know what, out of these three, these two sound a bit obsolete because I think you might have seen where's the B and where's the PN. Right? But check is quite common. How many of you have ever seen a check in your life? Just raise your hands. Have you check देखा हो? Wow, decent. Good. देखा है आपने? Fine. Now, promissory note means what and what's the legal implication? Shh. What is the legal implication? I उसके बारे में शुरू करते हैं बच्चा. So far, what we have learned, it was the contractual obligations and contractual liability. अब हम पढ़ने वाले अपना instrumental liability. कुछ हो रहा है? Are you all right?
You are fine. Mentally that also.
चलो आगे बढ़ते हैं. बढ़े आगे. PN. Guys, promissory note is defined under section 4. Bill of exchange, section 5, and the check is defined under section 6. Guys, I have one question. Right. चलिए इसका आंसर दीजिए. If I tell today, let's say question number 1 in your senior foundation, A tells B, क्या लिखा है? That I promise to pay rupees 3 crores on 31st March 2024. I means Mr. A promised to pay you. U stands for B. My simple question to you is like, is it a valid promissory note or not? Reason? Reason? Exactly, guys. Exactly. That's what. Does it mean that this promise is illegal? Does it mean this promise is illegal? Guys, section 4 clearly says that promise needs to be what? In writing. Then it becomes what? Promissory note. But if you tell someone that I will pay, this promise is not invalid. Just only implication is it will not be considered under the Negotiable Instruments Act. For that you have to go to Indian Contract Act because still it's a promise. Every promise is the agreement. Come on guys.
Yes,
So this story will not be considered under the NIA, but it will be considered under the ICA. ICA stands for Indian Contract Act. So basically we have to learn. Okay. Assume my dear students, चल एक बार हम उस definition को पढ़ लेते हैं. According to section 4, promissory note means what? So write down my dear students. Promissory note. Promissory note is an instrument in writing. Instrument in writing, which contains promise signed, sorry, promise what is called unconditional undertaking. That's actually the correct word. चलो आपको थोड़ा और technical पढ़ा देते हैं. Which contains an unconditional, sorry, I just forgot to add the CO word. You understand? Unconditional undertaking signed by unconditional undertaking signed by the promisor to pay certain sum of money either to or on order of the person or to the bearer of the instrument. But ये नहीं है ना, कितनी खूबसूरत डेफिनेशन है बच्चे, राइट? Promissory note is an instrument in writing which contains unconditional undertaking signed by the maker, signed by the promisor to pay what? Certain sum of money, एक और चीज मैंने शायद भूल गया मैं, to the specified person. You add that. To specified person or to or on the order of or to the bearer of the instrument or to the bearer of the instrument or to the bearer of the instrument. Fine. Now let's dissect, guys, one by one all the points. The first thing what we have, it talks about it is an instrument. क्या है? My first question is define the word instrument for 2 marks. How would you write? Again, let's see in the question what we have. Why this question becomes important? Because I have the 3 important questions. First, what do you mean by document? What do you mean by document? How document word is different from the instrument? Define that. Other point is what do you mean by writing? Writing document instrument. चलो इसके बारे में समझते हो. Guys, law clearly says that any surface on which some writing is made, then the surface becomes document. For example, my dear students, on the land, if you write something by just a huge stick, soil, you know, there's a soft soil, you are writing like this, my name is, whether that soil is considered as a document? Generally, when I ask you the question, what do you mean by document, only one impression comes to our mind, and that one is the paper. हमारे दिमाग में पेपर आता है ना? But law ये कहता है कि कोई भी surface, in fact, guys, you can see this duster contains some writings. Guys, for your current information, this duster is nothing but document in the eyes of law. Who said the writing can happen only on the paper? It can be on the stone, it can be on the soil, it can be on the digital format also, it can be. Every 15th August, if you see Dubai, Burj Khalifa, India and Indian sponsors are, arranging one laser show. अगर आपको पता हो, they are just projecting one huge projectors throws the light on Burj Khalifa and Indian flags and some Indian all those freedom fighters. I think some half an hour entire projection is going on, and they are charging crores of rupees for that. But my question is, as soon as you are just throwing a light through projector on a screen to project something, is it a document or not? So for that we have to understand the definition of the writing word. Writing can be in any form. It contains alphabets, it contains pictures, it contains images, it contains lines, curves, anything. Are you getting my point? So my dear student, any writing, whether digital, not digital, alphabets, written, printed, any form, that's called the writing. So as soon as you are showing a I would say projection on the wall. That projection is nothing but writing. Wall is a surface on which the writing is made. Wall becomes document in the eyes of law. Am I clear? In fact, if you are writing something on the water by using thermocol, water becomes document. Now my question is why it's so important? देखो बात समझो. One person got murdered. But while taking the last breath, what did he do? Like using his blood, he wrote something on the surface, on the tiles, that this is the man who killed me, and he died. So tell me guys, whether that written contents of the tiles is considered as document in the eyes of law or not? Tell me one thing, as the evidence. Bolo bhai sahab. But answer to that question is of course it is a document. क्या मेरी बात समझ में आई? So guys, please come out of that orthodox thoughts that a document is a paper. No, कुछ भी हो सकता. The document has the two types. but ये ध्यान रखना, section 130 check bounce के केस में ये theory में use करूँगा. Document in the eyes of law has the two types. One is enforceable document, other is not enforceable. Any document what law and the court considers as the evidence or enforceable by law, it is known as instrument. But any document which is just a document but law doesn't enforce this, it is not instrument. So newspaper, it is instrument or just the document? Document. Your notes, notebook, this book. But my dear student, that writing and the contents on that tiles before getting died by that man who got murdered, can I say that the writing contents are considered wise and legal evidence by the court as his last testimony before he died? So guys, even though he wrote on the plain surface, that plain surface becomes what? So my dear students, let me tell you, instrument means something which has a legal validity. Partnership deed is what? Instrument or just a document? Guys, it is both. It's a document which has an enforceability in the eyes, so it is the instrument. So every instrument is a document. I hope I'm clear, guys. Partnership deed, trust deed, rent agreement, contract, and the promissory note. So promissory note is the instrument. Instrument stands to, it has the legal obligations. It has legal validity. It is considered as a legal base in the eyes of law. Am I clear? Fine. It has to be in writing, guys. क्या लिखा है उन्होंने? So that's why, guys, if A tells me that I promise to pay you rupees 3 crores on so and so date, this is not a valid promissory note. It may be a valid promise, but not a valid promissory note. The only reason is, guys, it is not in writing. Yes or no? All right, guys, face this question now. Mr. Bhavesh Rajani gives in writing to Mr. Chirag Akhani that I, Bhavesh Rajani, promise to pay rupees 10 crores on 31st March 2024. But at the time of signing this, guys, he signs like this. Sign क्या किया? Is this promissory note valid or not valid? Is this valid or not valid? Okay, guys, I think you know it must have to be signed. Whose promisor here? But it is signed in whose name? Therefore, this promissory note is एक क्वेश्चन का आंसर देंगे जरा. तो साइन किया किसने? Who signed it? Very good. Who is the promisor? Is it signed by the promisor? किस बेस पे बोल रहे हो valid नहीं है? एक नियम बता दो जो बताए कि साइन ऐसे करना है आपको. Can I use stars, triangles, and the squares in my sign? Can my sign be like this? Twinkle, twinkle, little. Can that be my sign? आप कौन होते हो डिसाइड करने वाले? What alphabets, what characters I supposed to use? But a law demands you should sign. It doesn't say what alphabets you should use. Am I clear? He can use Sunil Gandhi, he can use Chirag Khan, he can use Narendra Modi, whatever. Law says just we need to prove one thing. It must have to be signed by. It must have to be signed by the promisor. So handwritings must have to be presented by him. Once it is done, it's a valid promissory. गलतियां मत करो. ये नहीं कहा कि your name is supposed to be. What if the name of Bhavesh Rajan is missing? Fine, I don't want names, I want just the sign. Name don't matter, sign matters. So please take the things what are written very literally, guys. चलो आगे बढ़े. Intention किस capacity से कर रहे हो, that matters. But yes, even though I forgot to add my name, that audit report cannot be questioned, and I'm liable what I have sanctioned. PwC partner, but is permanently dismissed from the ICS register from chartered accountants, because in 2008 he signed the balance sheet of Satyam Computers, and later on it found as a scam. पता है आपको? Just imagine you completed CA foundation, then CA inter, then CA final. At the end, ICA comes and gives you news. Congratulations, you are permanently deleted from our records as a CA. तो क्या करोगे? But one of the arguments, his name was missing, but his sign was there. You are liable. But a signature important.
No, but what if they sign in someone's name, sir? How will it determine?
Guys, again, आप समझो. एक थियरी बताता हूँ. एक काम करो, अभी नहीं बताता. I have section 138 of, I would say, rejoinder of the check due to insufficiency of funds, and section 85 forgery. Now forgery in entire negotiable instruments act has the two types: forged signature and forged endorsement. At that time, I think that's the more appropriate case where I should take it. Am I clear? So promissory note is an what? Legal document. It must have to be in what? Writing. What if it's printed? Nobody wrote in his own beautiful handwriting, so it's just printed in time now. Valid or not valid? Reason क्या है? अभी बताया बेटा, writing का मतलब होता है कोई भी text आप किसी के ऊपर भी डाल दो, whether printed, whether typed. In fact, whether digitally typed doesn't matter. Do we learn like that? All right. Which contains the unconditional undertaking. So undertaking here, what we have. On that basis, you asking the question. Undertaking means the promise. Undertaking stands for what? Promise. Guys, if the words what you have presented in writing doesn't constitute the promise or compulsion to pay, it is not a valid promissory note. For example, if I write like this, that I, Chirag Akhani, confirm that I am liable to pay you 10 crores. Is it a valid promissory note? I, Chirag Akhani, just confirm that I am liable to pay you 10 crores. My signature is there. I have given it in writing. Is it a valid promissory note? No, ऐसा जरूरी नहीं. I'm telling you, guys, I'm telling you the questions. What I'm telling is already IPCC and CAU questions. Don't think that I'm not teaching you as like a CA foundation. So I will touch those advanced questions, right? Tell me, if I simply say, I confirm that I owe you this much money, I'm liable to pay you this much money. Is it promissory note? Because law clearly says promissory note must contain the word, not a word. Promissory note contains undertaking. Undertaking means promise. Here just I'm confirming that I'm liable, but I'm not confirming I will pay, or I must pay, or I promise to pay. So if the words don't imply that I will pay, it is not valid promissory note. So the example what I have quoted, it is not a valid promissory note. I hope I'm clear. But what if I say that I promise to pay you this much money on so and so time? Then I will pay you this much money. Then valid. Will is compulsion or optional. Instead of that, I may pay you 10 crores. Then, but I may always English grammar I guess should know very well. If I use the word I may pay, what does it mean? not a valid promissory note because may means optional, but I say I will, I shall, then it is a valid promissory note. Compulsion must have to be reflected from the language what you are using है. क्या बच्चे समझ में आई मेरी बात? कितना easy चल रहा है, right? Second, promise what you are putting there must have to be unconditional. What it should be? Unconditional. Suppose I am just giving writing that I, Chirag Khani, promises to pay you rupees 10 crores only in Bitcoin. सीए कहने वाला था लेकिन दीपक ने बोला था ठीक Bitcoin valid or not valid? If you secure, if you put a condition, my dear students, it becomes what? Conditional promise. And conditional promise doesn't make that paper as promissory note. But I am not saying that those promises are invalid. Those would be dealt under Indian Contract Act. IPC NIA will not be applicable. Do you get me what I am trying to say? चलो एक और एग्जांपल ले लेते हैं बच्चों. Focus here. I can see some students are not focusing बच्चों. ये compulsory है. चलो आपको बता दें नेगोशिएबल इंस्ट्रूमेंट एक्ट. When I started teaching, आपके कंटेंट में कुछ भी नहीं दिया बच्चों. But when I started taking in CA Inter, I was in Bhuj. Mr. Vijay Thakkar, he was the owner of the coaching class and told Mr. Chirag, you how to take the NIE. मैंने मना कर दिया. Sir, I don't have time. I'm not prepared. He said, no, you have to. And once I started preparing बच्चा, मेरे पसीने छूट गए. In throughout the entire chartered accountancy journey, ये दो एक्ट दे रहा हूँ बच्चा, where you need to pay the high attention. First is Foreign Exchange Management Act, 1999, और दूसरा है बेटा नेगोशिएबल इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स एक्ट. बाकी सब हो जाएगा. क्या मेरी बात समझ में आ रही है? तो अगर आपको लगता है कि क्या है कुछ नहीं बेटा, अभी आएंगे ना खेल शुरू होगा, अभी तो मजा आएगा. चलिए यहाँ तक समझ में आया बच्चा? क्या बेटा कंडीशन यू अंडरस्टूड? Tell me, bacha, is this question like a valid promissory note or not? I promise to pay you. You stands for the person's name, okay? The specific person. Rupees 10 crores, rupees 10 crores, 10 days after the death of Mr. Ram. Let me change the way I will say language. I promise to pay you rupees 10 crores 10 days after the death of Mr. Ram. Guys, can I say Mr. Ram's death is used as what? If he dies, after then, 10 days after, I am going to pay you what? 10 crores. Tell me, my dear students, is it valid or invalid? Valid or invalid? बताओ, valid or invalid? But the answer to this question is it is valid. But एक बात समझो, if certain events which are for sure to happen, certain events which are sure to happen, Gandhi Jayanti, sure to happen, 15th August like that, Independence Day, sure to happen. So instead of saying like this, that I will pay on exactly that date, if I say that I will pay 10 days after the Independence Day, 10 days after Republic Day, 10 days after the death of so and so person. So this is just one of the ways to define the time. It's not a condition. Death is certain or not certain? I know what's your doubt is, so what if he dies after 5 years? Fine, 5 years plus 10 days, that would be the time. See this is what. If he died after 1 week, so 7 days plus 10 days, that will be the time. I hope I'm clear, guys. So here, if you are providing some specific certain event as a base to determine the time, law says we do not have any problem and it is not a condition. Right, Kanika? Are you getting my point? Chalo shuru karo bachcha. Okay, till this promissory note is an instrument in writing which contains an unconditional undertaking signed by the. So sign means Your authentication is supposed to be there. What words you are using, I don't care. To pay certain sum of money. So that's very interesting, guys. I have two questions. Suppose one fellow gives in writing to other under the signature that I will give you 1 kg gold. Is it valid promissory note? Is it valid promissory note? But the answer is quite easy. It is not a valid promissory note because law says promissory note must contain the sum of money payable. So if you are promising to give some kinds, I promise to give you 1 kg gold, I promise to give my bungalow, something like that. Not a valid promissory note. It may be a valid promise, but not a valid promise. Okay. Second condition, I will pay either 10 lakhs or 12 lakhs. Is it valid promissory note? Reason? Certainty is missing. Yes or no? So again guys, it is not a valid promissory note. I am giving all the types of incidents. Third, I will give you 10 lakhs and other charges. Now, I will give you 10 lakhs and other charges. But how would you define the other charges? It may be different in your mind, it may be different in. So we both don't think people when just come to the table, there are high chances that we will not conclude to the same amount. So other charges until it becomes a fix to define like this much, amount is not certain. No certain amount, it's just a promise, not a promissory note. No promissory note, you cannot take the reference of the Negotiable Instruments Act, 1881. Am I clear? Yes, sir. What if I say 10 lakhs plus 12% per annum simple interest? Now? Valid or invalid? Come on guys, whether you calculate, I calculate, amount cannot be deviated because we have the fixed formula. This is valid, guys. Am I clear? Certain sum of money payable to a certain person or on his order of or to the bearer of the instrument. अब यहाँ पे दो words आए, पहले वो समझो. Payable to the certain person. Let's try to understand the word certain person. इसका क्या मतलब हुआ? If I tell you like this that I pay either Ram or to Shyam rupees 10 lakhs, either to Ram or to Shyam rupees 10 lakhs, it's not certain, not a valid promissory note. क्या बात यहाँ तक समझ में आई आप लोगों को? Good. So I don't think so I should go much in detail. Pardon? Actually don't consider this. To a specified person and remove this or the order of the person or to the bearer. This is what actually the word